Hey there, www.andrewmarkmusic.com. This is a Riffvlog on Daniel B. Wallace and Bart D. Ehrman debating, can we trust the text of the New Testament? Um, some of you might know that I self-describe as a Christian Gnostic or an agnostic Gnostic, meaning that as far as Christianity goes, I identify with the Gnostics. This is a historical branch of Christianity that started in the centuries after Christ, likely predated Christianity. In my opinion, it did. Um, and agnostic because I'm a rather unique Gnostic in that I don't know what God is. So that makes me agnostic on supernaturalism. Um, Maybe there are Christian Gnostics out there who know what God is. I don't. Um, I believe the God of this earth is demiurgic, flawed, a flawed architect. That there probably is a hippie God, as far as the amazing atheist likes to say. But that's in the pleroma. It doesn't exist here. This existence that we live in, from the Christian Gnostic view, is entirely flawed and not the creation of the good hippie God, okay, who doesn't want to kill anybody and who's not jealous of any other gods or anything like that. He doesn't want to rape. He doesn't want to murder. He doesn't want you to wipe out, babies from other tribes or take a knife to your child to prove a point. None of that. That's the architect of this world. Now, okay, that's the preface of who I am. This type of debate is so prevalent among secular elites or liberal Western elites. And I use the word liberal lightly there. I obviously, Daniel B. Wallace is likely, some kind of conservative, but I'm speaking macro here within the larger Western tradition of liberalism. Um, so within that framing, there's always this, well, you only have two choices. You have the skeptical atheist or the normative view of Christendom that's been promoted through Catholicism and its later branches or divisions from since the Reformation. So that's the framing of all these debates. Is they make it seem like that they're the only two choices possible. Um, and if it was just now and again, it probably would mean nothing. But it's prevalent, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere on this topic. Now, the second point is, what are we talking about here? We're talking about a book, let's just say the New Testament, that it claims amazing, extraordinary supernaturalism, that exists intimately personal to every single human being on the planet. Why would there even have to be this debate if that was true? You know, if there's a God that's that supernatural and cares so much about imparting truth to creatures it loves so incredibly much on an individual level, then this debate is not even necessary if such a God existed. Um, yeah, I mean, it's truly bizarre. Then we get down to issues of uh, contextualizing the professionality of the scribes, right? Now these guys have read that book, right? And this supernatural God who is entirely invested on a personal level and cares so much about imparting truth to humanity that he chose uneducated fishermen, you know, English ones, by the way, Andrew, Peter, Mark. He chose the Brits were in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. The tartar sauce must have been amazing. So yeah, the incongruency there is a little bit overwhelming. That God trusts uneducated fishermen to reveal its truth to the world, but today the gatekeepers of this intimate, supernaturally loving God of every single human being only can work through academic scholars, you know. Yeah, what's wrong with this picture, you know? Yeah, I don't know that I have a ton to say on this. It's they're arguing about the efficacy, the truth component of the New Testament. Well, I'm sure there's quite a few people within Judaism that will say there's no way that book is right. There's no way those scholars got theology right. I'm pretty sure there's people within Islam that are going to say there's no way these scholars got that right. Let alone all the other religions. Buddhism, who declare themselves to be the most advanced spiritual teachers on the earth, certainly would have an issue with a book that claims intimate, personal, supernatural beings that exist within their own, metaphysical, ontological realm, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it couldn't be more contradictory comparatively. And then once you get to Christianity, you get to 33,000 schisms. Well, what's the nature of Jehovah, right? And that's in modernity. Go back to the beginning, and you have, all the schisms within the early church that created the Marcionites, the largest Christian church in antiquity, who put the first Bible together, who put all those books that they're talking about together. That was the Marcionites, the largest church in antiquity. And Marcion wrote the antithesis that outlined some pretty simple, basic facts showing that Jesus and Yahweh are incompatible. They're not the same. It's an eye for an eye in the Old Testament, and yet Jesus taught, turn the other cheek. If he was with Jehovah, if he was the son of Jehovah, he should have come with machine guns, or at least really sharp swords. He should have let Peter cut off the ear of that centurion if he was the son of Jehovah. So yeah, you've got 33,000 sects now of I would say Judaized Christianity, like the Jehovah Witnesses, right? It's interesting to me as a Gnostic that every city in the world, or pretty well every city in the world, have these statuettes of Jehovah Witnesses on the corner, holding up that the demiurge is good. To me as a Gnostic, it's pretty funny. But extraordinarily relevant. If the Gnostics are right, and of course, I wouldn't believe in Gnosticism if I didn't think I was right. It actually is a form of Christianity where you don't have to be a contortionist. It's you can actually apply a spiritual Occam's razor to this and get the simplest explanation for the problem of evil. Why does Jehovah Yahweh act like such a brutal maniac? Well, it's because he is. Okay, so Just a word here on the Jewish people to finish this up. They're the biggest victims of this, if the Gnostics are right. And the only thing Jesus said about them is that they're blind. They're the blind leading the blind, and this debate exemplifies that. Okay, so you have only two choices. Generally speaking, if Sadducees, that would be Bart Ehrman here, equivalent. It's a loose equivalent. Well, sort of, we don't care about the supernatural aspects of God. If God doesn't exist, that's fine. We're just going to take the power, skepticism. And then you have the other professor who symbolizes the Pharisee, absolutely this God exists. And they're the only two choices. So yeah, you have this this false dichotomy set up here by the archons, and nobody's allowed to talk about Gnosticism, and nobody's allowed to say that Jehovah is not kosher, right? Because there's only the blind leading the blind is atheism and normative theology. That's it. That's the blindness, right? From the Gnostic perspective, that's what being blind is only having those two contradictory choices, where the Gnostics say, hey, there's a simpler explanation for evil from a theistic perspective, right? It's because the God of this earth is evil. Now, I'll just finish up here. I mean, that's even within the New Testament sort of normal canon. Why does the New Testament need a New Jerusalem if this one's kosher? This one isn't kosher even from normal Christian standards. It's terrible. And yet these scholars, I bet you they have no critique of capitalism. Oh, capitalism's as Christian as, Sunday French toast. No, it isn't. The Bible clearly describes the satanic system as economic. Now, what is the one economic system that scales to that prophecy right now? Well, there's only one: capitalism, and yet Christians embrace it. They embrace capitalism, and are on a wicked tirade against communism. And at least these leftists, at least they understand Christian economics. Okay, I mean, they may have their metaphysics wrong when it comes to materialism and atomism, but at least they have an understanding, they have an intuition of what a Christian economics should look like, and it isn't capitalism, Okay, so www.andrewmarkmusic.com. That's a Riffvlog on the false dichotomy of the secular academies when it comes to Christianity. Peace out. As soon as you're born, they make you feel small by giving you no time instead of it all. Till the pain is so big you feel nothing at all. I would keep like zero, something to be. I would keep like zero, something to be. They hurt you at home and they hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever and despise a fool.
so full of fear. A working class hero, something to be. A working class hero, something to be. Keep it doped on religion, Saxon. But you're still fucking peasants as far as I can see.